I've just every time I've attempted to do meditation, I even have one of those bolster pillows and I've gotten the guided meditation apps. And while somebody is talking about, calm forest breezes and all that, I'm thinking, do I need to I need to get some new underwear for the boys? They've outgrown it. And I wonder if there's enough lunch meat in the refrigerator. It just might, I, I, how is this? Of course, this is a practice, right? Uh, but it's also something we need to incorporate into our lives each day. Or do you do this daily, more than once a day?
I do it. I do it daily. I think we do need to incorporate it into our lives. We don't all have to do the same thing. Like the same thing doesn't work for everybody. We need to incorporate something that takes us into that more subtle aspect of life. Why do we need to? Because it works. Because it's been demonstrated over and over and over again, whether you look at it from a medical point of view or from a health, like from a well-being point of view or a mental health point of view or a performance point of view. It's been demonstrated time and time and time again that it works. But look, Aaron, one of the things I want to say is I can sit down at 5:30 in the morning or 6 in the morning, whenever I get up, and start my relaxation practice. And it might be for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, sometimes for 20 minutes. I'm thinking, oh, have I sent that email? What have I got to do today? Oh, that person said something horrible to me yesterday. But the thing that I do is I go a bit longer and I insist on arriving at a place where I feel some change in me, where I'm not just thinking about those things, because I've got all day to think about that stuff and to deal with it. But I do the relaxation to nourish me, to give me something not the same as I'm doing all day. And I think a lot of the problems that people have when they learn to meditate is, you're taught to meditate for 5 minutes at the beginning. And I understand that because, you don't want to, you just take a little bite. But most people don't get anything in 5 minutes. It doesn't work for them. And so they get really discouraged. But, we don't want to say, well, sit down for half an hour, because you think, well, I could never do that for half an hour. Even 5 minutes was really difficult for me. And so people give up. Or like for me, it's very difficult for me to do imagine the calm breezes. That's not, I wouldn't do well with that at all. It's just like I
But
can't stand that kind of
there's also
visualization, but it works wonderfully for some people.
yeah, there's also the counterproductive pressure you place on, one places on oneself, to get it right. So, like, I will meditate, I will find euphoria, or I will find stillness, um, and I think it's I don't know, maybe different for others, because I joke. But when you said it's extremely powerful, it is. I many years ago learned transcendental meditation, and while I don't practice it often, I have pulled it out of my back pocket a couple times. Uh, right after my illness, put in the hospital, I had the most terrible uh, headaches because I had bacterial meningitis trying to kill me from my brain out, and nothing was working. No medications could help it. So I dulled the pain. I managed the pain with TM. So I do understand the power of it. But when I sit down to try to do my, good old fashioned maintenance meditation, I put pressure on myself to kind of try to achieve that kind of power before the workday starts.
So I think you're talking about something really important here, because many of us in times of crisis are able to pull out something. Some people will pull out prayer. And there are remarkable stories all over the world of people where extraordinary things have happened because they prayed. or they meditated, or they found another place inside themselves that they didn't know they had. And then and a lot of the performance teaching around this is in a way trying to use that to boost performance. I actually don't believe in that kind of performance teaching for that very reason, because we are not actually living in a crisis situation all the time. We don't want to keep our body in that kind of state where, you're about to die from meningitis, or you've been in a terrible accident where or your child is in hospital in intensive care. People do extraordinary things under those situations. But if we try to live our whole life like that, we're just going to explode. I think the whole point about the maintenance thing is to be able to let go of trying to do it right. That's one of the first things I teach people. And one of the biggest problems people have is they come to any kind of course trying to get it right. And there lies the problem. It's when we realize, like, one of the big things I had to realize in my life was that I'm not going to get it right and I'm not going to get it wrong. It's just not all about right and wrong. I think I picked up an idea when I was at school, maybe because I went to quite Christian schools, that if I got it right, God would somehow be happy with me. And even when I wasn't particularly a God person, that teaching was in there. And I think we all have it. If it's not God, it's my parents or my teacher or someone is going to be happy with me and reward me if I get it right. So I've got to get it right. And I somehow realized that if God is God, I can't get it right and I can't get it wrong, because, it doesn't somehow make any sense. And I started to let go of that. And the whole beauty of meditation is, to me, not about getting there. It's the other part of life which isn't about getting there. It's the part, if the way you bring up your children has no space for just being together, your children will end up very, very stressed and very anxious because they're constantly trying to perform. Most parents know that, and they make time to just be with their children. We know in our relationships, we need to have time to just be together and not be performance driven in our relationship, because it's a killer of relationship. And actually business as well, a lot of the best business people meditate every day. And there's a very good reason why they do that, because it makes it that it's not all about the performance. It actually creates space for that being part. Because if you think about business, as you said, is largely about relationships. You can't do business without relationships, and you can't build trust in relationships by hammering performance and productivity. You actually need to be human together. And meditation is a fundamental practice, or relaxation, for not getting it right, just being there. It's like stillness. If you want to practice stillness, sometimes your stillness is going to be very noisy. But that's not a failure, it's just a noisy stillness. Another day you're going to experience beautiful, silent stillness, and then you're going to think, this is how I'm supposed to be all the time. It's like, no, that's just not correct.